Second trot down, Mike, sounds like. Seems like a small fish. I reckon money be on a grayling. Can you see anything? Oh, he's come off. He come off. Really, how pleased am I? That's how deep I'm fishing.
3 foot?
No, barely, 30 inches, yeah. Try again. Well guys, it's definitely a case of rain stop play. 2 grayling, we think, bumped off. Mike's had to go back to the car. I'm hiding beneath this tree up here, as you can see. It's the only thing I've got. I'm going to get soaking wet. It's turning into a nightmare day. We've had about 10 casts. I'm hoping it's going to go through this rain. There's a nice little run there. Bit pacey, the river, it's a little bit pacey. We're right in the middle of the town, but the fish are here. Let's see if we can't winkle 1 or 2 out. Okay guys, I'm going to hold the umbrella. We actually got a brown trout out. It has not stopped raining at all, but a real pretty little fish. You want to see this one? And we've lost, what, 5 grayling?
5 grayling have come off. I've lost them. We changed hook link. It's not the hook link. It is the fish are just really, I don't know, they're just finicky somehow.
Yeah.
Aren't they? But we've got them in the net.
You show for the camera. Only a small fish, but little. Look, these are all wild fish, these ones. And look at the markings on it.
Look at that.
You tell the wild ones, I think, because of those red dots on it.
Lovely wild.
I just think they look sweet with the little red dots. And look at his tail. It's not all rounded like a stockfish from a put and take fishery.
It's immaculate, isn't it?
It is a nice fish. Okay, now what we got is, I'm just trying to get Mike an idea on float fishing on the tips. And one of them is you're going to have problems here with the rod rings like this. All the rain sticks in the rod rings, and you found that, haven't you? The fact that you
just can't mend the line.
You can't mend the line. So I always do this. I just give it like a bump before I cast. Obviously it's going to load up again with rain. Cast over what's called a slack. Look, it's racing down this stretch down here, but it's slack over there. Now if I was a fish, I'd be laying up under there. And this is really a sort of game fish river, you'd say, the river here. So there's grayling, small brown trout, chalk stream river, yeah. But they do get, it's a crossover, you do get some coarse fish in here as well. And that is where I'd expect a coarse fish to be, but obviously predominantly game fish because of the speed of the river. And that's about where I'd expect to get a bite, just where it's dragging there, barely tripping the bottom. Oh, missed him. Another little tip, just throw in a wide arc, just lob it out like that in an arc, rather than overhead cast. If you've got an overhead cast, look guys, you're going up there, up those trees. So if you're kids, get used to doing lower casts. It's a tricky bit of fishing today, not just because we're getting soaking wet rain, but because it's very, very swirly here. It's not easy float fishing at all because of the speed of the current.
Everything's against it.
And it is really today, and you've got to mend that line, and because it's sticking to the rod rings, you can't really let it go down smooth without flicking the rod top to jerk it off, which I don't like doing. Or you just bang the rod like that just to get the raindrops off it, and then you can trot it right the way down the river. We get this one to show the folks back home. We must have lost 6 of them. There he is. I've got to run down and get him.
Nice one.
There's only one thing to say about that fish. Awesome. What they're famous for, the grayling, is this big dorsal fin. Huge big paddle fin there, you can see. That's what makes them fight hard in the current. That's a nice looking fish, and they've got a sort of downward turning mouth here at the top, and that's why you bump so many off when you're float fishing. Got the fish down here guys, feels like a grayling. It is indeed a grayling. I'm going to take the net down to him because I think we might be pulling the hook out of their mouths because we have lost so many grayling that are bumped off. There he is, and let him come down into the net. There. There we go. What unblowed, look, that one's fallen off the hook. That one fell off as well, right?
Really?
Yeah, it's a little bit bigger, this one. And they are so strong, you can see them. Nice fish, though. Nice looking fish on a nice looking river.
Looks like a baby grayling.
Has it got that dorsal to it?
Yeah, it's got that little dorsal there, but I don't think I've ever caught one that small. Absolutely tiny. Lovely fish though.
Unusual markings as well, yeah.
Yeah, and that's just in the real slow flow here we found by this boathouse.
Yeah. Really
slow.
A very perchy looking bridge.
It does, yeah.
A very perchy looking bridge there. Are we going to go back there?
Back up here, just by the bridge, yeah.
Okay. Now this is what I call fishing and thinking outside the box. A nice ham sandwich, which both Mike and I had made by mother, and they really take some chewing back. Man alive, I said to Mike, as I was eating it, I said, watch this swan come over. He's coming because people must feed bread here all the time. It's a park area, I can see that. Swan came over, obviously I didn't feed it, not being a lover of swans. Blow me down, I said, I'm going to put a piece of bread on, because if they feed, you know, the birds on bread, there's a good chance the fish will know about it as well. Second trot down, a piece of this turned into one of these, a fishy. Let me show it to you. There you go. I put a big piece of bread on a tiny hook. I'm normally fishing maggots. Let's whiz him off the hook here, look. There we go, it's off barbless, that's out of the way. And there is a beautiful brown trout, only a little wild one, and he took bread. So there's always a chance, if you see an area on a river, indeed a lake where people regularly fish with bread, don't neglect it, because every chance a fish will move in it. I'm feed on, and that's what I did here. Look, I just capitalised on what I thought was a hunch. It worked. I'm sure they'll catch on maggots, but what a pretty fish to catch on a piece of my wife's horrible roll. I can say that because she never watches a Totally Awesome show. Guys, we've made this mistake trying to pull the fish against the current. Again, I'm on this second trot now with a piece of bread. Bigger fish, I'm going to walk down and get it. This one is a nice fish. I don't want to lose this bit of bread. Cannot believe it. Here we go. Just hope he doesn't ping off. Now this one I'm going to show you. The other one had a lot of red dots on it. This is the difference. Oh, it's a nice fish. This is the difference. Look, it's a much bigger fish. And there we go. And I think the bigger the fish get, the wild trout, they get less of these dots on them. That's my experience of finding them. And look at the beautiful big dots on these. Those black dots. That is a really nice looking trout. Second trot down is right here, guys. It was in my hand. I do not speak with forked tongue. Bread. My God, it needs to be better than maggots. Okay, I'm throwing out because the maggots are quite expensive. It's cheaper to get hold of some of these, I think they're called Scretton's 4mm pellets. Cheaper to get hold of some of these, and they're just a regular coarse fish feed, and scatter them out, because don't forget, as soon as you throw them in the water, they're away in the current. So don't be afraid to throw some in, because if you don't throw it in, you won't get the fish. And to be honest, I don't think it matters where they go, as long as the middle, down the inside, just get them in the water, and hopefully it stimulates some grading or whatever else is in the river, gets them going, gets them moving around off current, off station, would you say, grabbing those baits. Where's my rod? Get in. There we go.
Yes. Whoa, there we go. My first brownie in this certain stretch. And that is, look at the markings, like you say, Dad. Those red dots, the brown dots. Unbelievable. Lovely, lovely looking wild brown trout. And that was in a slight change of pace and current just further up, wasn't it? Further upstream.
It's very,
20 yards, 15 yards upstream.
It's barely imperceptible, but if you do like river fishing, you start to learn where these spots are that hold the bait up.
Yeah.
If it holds the bait up, it gives the fish a chance.
Well guys, I have to admit, I went back to the car to put in £1.80 because we thought we'll give it another hour. Turns out the car park is minimum 2 hours for £1.80, and that's the best £1.80 I have ever spent. And I got my first grayling of the day now. Let's take a look at him. There we go. He wants to get back. Absolute beautiful fish. They're very renowned to being very difficult to hold, as you can see. But what a beauty in this lovely little chalk stream, right in an urban area, and it is quality fishing. Let's get him back. Brown trout. I think the hook fell out. I think.
Yeah, nothing
It's
there.
fallen out. Bye bye.
And away he goes.
Awesome. So we're getting the fish though. Glad we paid for the extra car park, Dad.
Well, nailed another fish in, guys. Just moved downstream, so if you are fishing with a float, what they call long trotting a long way down the river, don't forget, start at the top end, and all that feed's going down. So when you wear a swim out at the top end, you can move down and there's another batch of fish hopefully feeding. It's just what we've done here. I've either got a grayling, a dace, or yet another brown trout. Another tip you want to do is just watch the trees overhead, because it's really easy to stand by a nice cozy tree and lose your float up in the tree. So just be aware, always look overhead, even netting the fish, to be honest. There he is. They're not huge fish, but I'll tell you what makes it is they're brown trout and they're all wild. There we go, he's probably going to go mad. And everyone's got a different marking. All those dots are like a fingerprint. Each fish is different. No two fish are the same. Yeah. Now look on my finger, you missed it. Here, guys. I'll put this chap back, and here's a disgusting creature. There is a blood-sucking leech. I don't know if you can see that. He's sucked onto that fish. His mouth is up this end. He's just about to suck onto me, you SOB. I don't think so. So he gets the treatment of the official NASA launch. Okay, setup is a 35-year-old float. This is an old Avon bodied one. I've got 3 BB on it. I've got a long valve rubber here, which you call a float rubber band. You can buy them in the shop, but I like to get my own band so I can cut them a long length there, and it pinches it nice and tight. If you have a shop bought one, it could be about that size. Apologies for these nails, but we caught a lot of fish today and we're digging around, photographing and dropping in the mud. These will probably stay there for 4 or 5 years, that dirt under the nails. Nice when you have sandwiches. BB shot, BB shot, BB shot. This takes 3 BBs like that. And then my hook, and because there's a chance of a bigger fish, I've got rid of my hook to nylon, and I'm now using, let's pull these maggots off so I can show you, an eyed hook straight through to 4-pound line, just in case. And the other problem we got is there's quite a lot of current here. You watch me, I can't get this off now. He's what we call skinned. He's off. There's my hook. Just a straight eyed hook, but that's a size 12 instead of an 18. So that's what we're going to be using now. A little bit bigger hook, and there's no question we are tending to lose less fish now. I've got a close face reel here, which is you press the front of it, you can hear it click, and the line's free to come off. As I engage the handle here, it puts it back in gear and I can wind in. And it has anti-reverse here. You know, you can play fish on back wind. That's the drag is. Generally this is for small fish, not big fish, but like a sort of match fishing reel, float fishing reel. But it's very quick because you just have finger release, one turn is back on, you don't have to open and close the bail arm. The rod's a 13-foot match rod. Won't bother about the make of it. It is a very fast tip. That means a fast tip means you don't have to strike hard, which you invariably always do. If you do, it's going to catapult everything, your terminal gear, straight up a bush somewhere. So with a fast tip match rod, you just barely pop that float with your wrist to set the hook. The rest is just a plain fishing rod. That's my setup.
So I'm using a similar setup to Dad, but I'm actually using a bigger float. This is a balsa float that takes 6 BB, and the reason I'm using the bigger one is because I can mend the line and it doesn't affect the float as much, and it doesn't hopefully move my bait as much because it's a bigger float. And it's just easier really as a beginner to use something that's slightly thicker, slightly heavier. And then onto that, it's obviously got the 6 BB, quite heavily loaded towards the top of the float, more sporadic with a single one down here, about 3 to 4 inches away from the hook. Same hook as Dad. We're using white maggots today because our theory is that we're here in an urban area right by the road. People chuck bread in for the birds, and obviously the fish take the bread as well, the bread that the birds don't eat, but also maggots are white, and if you put a clump on there it almost looks like a small clump of bread, but this time they're wriggling and moving to give it that extra attraction. So that's our theory really. That's why we're going for white today in the urban area. And the rod I'm using is just a standard Avon rod, again pretty similar to Dad's. Small 2000 size reel, but this is interesting. It's got a trigger grip here, and what you do is as you pull this lever it opens the bail arm for you, and the line is still straight onto my finger as well. It just makes it basically much faster to cast out, and I can keep control of that line instantly. I don't think they make these kind of reels anymore, who knows. I know this is an old one of yours, Dad, but yeah, I actually really like this reel, and I've used it when we first started TA fishing. I actually used it in some of the videos right near the beginning, but Real easy, simple tactics, just trotting the float through, waiting for it to bob under, and then flicking the wrist and keeping your rod tip low and hopefully hooking a fish.
Boys, grayling on again. Done very well with the grayling. Look, I think Mike's had fish of the day. He's had the biggest grayling, but if I get this one in, I should be well happy with it. A good bit of sport, and they all go back. Fish in that condition, and they got a sort of lovely gold effect. If you look down their lateral line of the scales, there's some gold in there. If I let go of me wriggling everywhere, so I've got in there, and look at quite a nice coloured eye. When you look at the eye there, that lovely gold around the outside of it, and you can see that semi-underslung mouth, and it's a sort of beaky front jaws to it, and that's why I believe with grayling you bump so many off, you lose a lot of fish, and that's why we go to the bigger hooks. That's a totally awesome theory anyway. And there's his lovely fin. Look at that, like a sail in the sunshine. It stopped raining. What more could you ask for?